Brown, Board Trustee.
Present.
We have Dr. Linda Adams, Superintendent.
Present.
Bridget Villarelli.
Present.
Dean Middleman.
Present.
And Mr. Reza Kolahifar.
Present.
And myself, Jesse Kemp, the District Clerk.
There are a few changes to the board agenda, but that's in each section I'm gonna go by. I need a motion and a second to accept the minutes of the January 12th, 2021 Board of Education meeting. Where did I put my pen? Motion and a second, please. Motion. Yeah, Jesse, what did I do with my pen? I got it. Okay. I need a call for a motion and a second to approve personnel matters, schedule 1. Oh, all in favor, sorry. All in favor for the minutes. Aye. I need a, did I get all ayes? Okay. I need a motion and a second to approve personnel matters, schedule 1, resignation, terminations, leave of absences. But that wasn't where the change was, correct, Jesse?
Correct.
Okay, so that was fine as far as I saw. Yes, December. Motion and a second, please.
Motion.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Schedule 2, we have a change. So I need a motion and a second to approve personal matters, schedule 2, except for F.
4F.
4F. So I need a motion and a second, please.
Motion.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye for everything but 4F. Thank you, that was removed.
I'm not sure what F is.
4F was the removal because we voted on it at the last meeting, Mylin.
Gotcha.
It was on there again already. So it was removed. Okay. The consent agenda. It's items 2 through 14 still now, right? Because we added this resolution on. That was what, Gary just talked to us about, to have the other one representing us. Does everybody remember that?
13.
Oh, 2 through 13? Okay. So I need a motion and a second to approve items 2 through 13, actually for discussion for items 2 through 13.
What, the item that you're not moving was originally 13?
Now we put it back as 13. Then we put a new one as 13.
No, it is 14. I apologize.
Oh, okay, sorry. 2 through 14 then?
2 through 14 with that original number 13 removed.
Okay, 2 through 14 minus 13.
Plus 15 then.
Plus 15 because we have this resolution. So 2 through 15 minus 13. Motion and a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hold on one second. I don't think I had any questions on this. Yes, aye. Okay. And the next one is, let's
Well,
consent.
Mylan, I didn't hear you. Did you?
Mylin, how did you vote on the consent agenda?
I'm an aye.
Thank you. Okay, we are now up to public comment. This section of the agenda gives the Board of Education an opportunity to recognize persons who wish to raise a question or make a brief statement on matters including but not limited to agenda items. The time available will be limited to 3 minutes. When you hear this sound, that sound, you have 30 seconds left. Your comments should be kept as brief as possible and relate to any school matters. Was there any time slot? We didn't do time slots, so we have less than 10 people. We're good. Okay, so if anybody would like to speak, please come up to the microphone. You do not have to state your name. You can just speak. We have 30 minutes for that.
3 minutes.
3
Hi.
minutes. You'll hear this.
I'm here to inquire about the senior class and about the in-school education that we want full days, 5 days a week. And I see that Cuomo's changing his mind over there, saying that we can all open up now. I know other districts in the area have opened up. I was wondering what's for our junior high and high school kids. Oh,
We don't have any answers to that. That would not be under the board's purview. That's our superintendent's wheelhouse, and they have a team that is working on that. I'll let Linda discuss that.
Hi. There's been no changes to the CDC guidelines. So the CDC guidelines for the reopening plans for schools, which were approved by the State Education Department, involve a 6-foot radius around every child for appropriate, safe social distancing. I've been calling other places to see how people are bringing kids back. The majority of them have a very large percentage of kids who are staying virtual, which allows them to have the majority of their classes be safely socially distanced. At this point, I mean, if the board is interested in having us not have the CDC guidelines, that would be something that they would have to direct me to do. I don't really feel comfortable, especially with the infection rate in Suffolk County right now, with putting in front of the board an opportunity to have far more kids in a building and not have them safely socially distanced. That may change if the rate drops, but right now we're highest in New York State, in Suffolk County. So it would not be
Connecticut
something-
is.
No, not Connecticut, Suffolk County, as a county, is the highest infection rate in New York State.
Okay,
So-
when they do go back to full-time, do we have a plan on what's going to happen?
If the CDC never changes their guidelines from keeping a 6-foot social distance, the board would have to really demand that we put kids back in without that CDC guideline. Because I'm not going to request to the board to change the safety rules that we have in place from our reopening plan, which is that 6-foot separation for all of our kids. Right now, we don't have enough space in the high school to have all of our kids back and have them safely socially distanced in their classrooms.
Okay,
Then you have to put your microphone on.
Is there a better chance that we would go totally virtual versus just virtual a couple of days if we bring them all back on the buses the way that it used to be and in school? Do you think we'd have more cases and have to close the schools altogether?
I'm gonna turn that microphone off, please.
So this is a discussion that superintendents across Long Island have had. There are a few school districts that were in from the very beginning with their reopening plans, not following necessarily the CDC social distancing guidelines. I'm not going to name the one that we were talking to the superintendent for, but that high school has closed 25 times because of the way the contact tracing happens. So do I think that if we put more kids in and we started to have a case or two pop up, we would have to put those kids out on full virtual or shut down the high school more because they're just not in that safe zone of being 6 foot away.
yeah,
like
it's
we
not
were saying
spreading
before.
in the school though, it's spreading with the kids on the outside of the school, bringing it in, right?
You're correct. We have
Okay.
not had a case that we can trace back to spread within the
Okay.
school. That is correct.
Okay,
I don't know that I could say that with definitive answer if I had kids sitting 3 foot apart. So in a normal classroom, kids are sitting about 3 foot apart. Now we have half the classes in and half that size of the classroom gives us that 6 foot barrier around them of air. If we had kids at 3 foot, we would be contact tracing and more kids would be put out in order to not have spread in the school.
okay, so we'll readdress this, right? Because today, I know that the teachers had done a sick out one day, and now I heard that they did another sick out today. And I was wondering, what was that? Is that because they don't want to go in the school, or is it that, you know,
So I'm not going to talk for the CTA. Honestly, I don't know. They do have a provision in their contract that allows for leave days, and they can take those leave days for any reason.
all
So
of them at the same time?
I can't speak for them, but they do have in their contract the provision to have leave days. And
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Please listen to the tone of the 30 seconds.
Okay, sorry.
No, you're fine.
Good?
Yeah,
Okay.
you're up.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Gill. I was going,
You don't have to say that.
that's fine, I can say. I'm a mom of a senior, and I would like the board, I was gonna read a letter that I wrote you guys over the weekend. We have some senior parents here. We're asking the board and Dr. Adams to consider having the senior class only come back. You guys don't understand the mental toll this is all taking on these kids. It's a daily struggle to get the kids that have never had a problem in school in days that they have to go in. My kid is a varsity volleyball player. He's a fantastic kid. He deserves to have the last couple of months of his high school career and with his friends, all his friends, as a senior class. They have nothing this year. They have nothing. All these other schools, all these other districts, all these other high schools are planning all these different things for them, and we have nothing. And if you ask any of these seniors and you ask them what they think of school now, they will tell you it's not school, it's prison. We don't want to be there. We have nothing to look forward to. Last year, seniors had something. These seniors have nothing, and nobody cares. And I'm here to speak up for my kid and his friends and his classmates because I think it's important. And we can bring them back because other schools have their seniors in. I'm not asking for the entire school. I'm asking for you guys to consider bringing in these seniors, seeing how it goes. And if the numbers go up, then we do what we need to do and we close down. We have to give them hope. Right now, they have nothing. And we as parents are asking the board to do something about it because I don't want to go to funerals. I want to go to graduation parties. And I'm telling you right now, if it's not going to change, that's the trajectory of this place. That's what's going to happen. And I'm getting emotional for a reason. My oldest graduated in 2018. This school is phenomenal. We have phenomenal teachers. We have amazing principals and assistant principals. These kids need hope. You have to give it to them. And I'm sorry if I'm getting loud and I'm sorry if I'm getting emotional, but somebody has to. Because enough is enough. Enough is enough. They have sports now, thank God. They need something else. And I'm begging you as a mother, make something happen for these seniors because they need it. Not me. They do. That's all.
Linda, I thought that when I looked at the numbers, that if you have all these people that are out in the high school, what would it take to bring these seniors back? What would it take to bring back the senior class?
It would take the board to say that you don't want to follow the CDC guidelines.
Wait. Hear this, hold on, I want to hear this though. How do you have to say that? I looked at the numbers. If the numbers you guys gave me are correct, and the numbers you gave everybody are correct, then we don't even have a quarter of the school in. It doesn't look like a quarter of the population is in that high school at any given time. Am I right or wrong? Because I'm going off the numbers. If the numbers you guys gave me are accurate, there's not a quarter of the population in every day.
I can't. So you're looking at the kids who right now have decided to be fully virtual, that 25%?
I'm looking at absences. I'm looking at full virtual. I'm looking at, because we have the hybrid, you're still not going to have the other half of the 3 grades below. I'm looking at staffing. I'm looking at all the numbers. Is there more than a quarter of the school population in that high school at any given time? Because I'm telling you, I'm just adding them.
So, Mr. Middleman provided it for the board.
Yeah, thank you. It was in the report.
So,
I'm going to add something to what Jackie said. Linda, you just said that it's up to the board to go against the CDC guidelines. We've been consistently told that that's not our wheelhouse. I will not tell a parent that they have to do something when it comes to their child. The parent has to make that decision. If we say school is open and that's it, it's open, what about the parents that don't want to send their kids in? Now you're saying that they have to go in? Right now we have it hybrid, correct? So if parents want to send their children in, which these parents do, we should be able to give them that option. I'm not going to tell a parent that they have to do something when it's against CDC guidelines. You can ask the board to do that. That's your job.
Well, I'm hearing that there are classrooms with only 2 kids in them. I know this because my own child has texted me from school, can you come pick me up? There's 2 kids in my class. So if you're in a classroom with only 2 children, there is no way that if we brought back seniors, that there'd be too many in the classroom if there's only 2 in the classroom.
But Jackie, what about the parents that don't want their seniors back? And there
I'm
are parents
totally,
out that don't.
listen,
We
I'm
can't
totally
say,
for-
no, my point is this. We can't say all seniors have to go back to school
It should be,
It has to be
it should
a
be
choice.
parental choice,
Right, it has
parental
to be
choice.
Parental choice, that's my point.
So why don't we send out a
High school seniors that want to go back for the remaining time every day.
Yes, Mylan, that's what I'm saying. I mean, listen, I would love to, if we had a big enough school to bring everybody back. But I understand that this year is supposed to be the special, I mean, this is a terrible year for seniors. I can't deny that I said it at the last meeting. But if we brought them back somehow, I mean, I'm not saying right this minute, you have to devise a plan and you have to make sure everybody's safe and secure. But my understanding, and this is just like I was trying to tell Lee, adding the numbers that Dean, thank you, Dean, too, you did a great job providing the numbers. It was great because I just went through it, and if you do the math, it's a quarter of the school, if that, in at any given time.
I can't hear you without your microphone on.
No, it's a public.
Oh, sorry. Okay, back to public.
Is this on?
I thought it was Lee talking.
Wait, I just want to add something. So Linda, if you could do a
There's somebody in the public speaking now. Can you wait, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
The elementary schools all go into school. The parents that decide that their children want to stay home, they stay home and do virtual. But they're open. The teachers are all there. And when they either get COVID or come in contact with somebody with COVID, they stay home, they quarantine, they come back. And I would like to know if somebody here has any statistics. What are the percentages of fatalities in the district versus the population of the district? Also, what is the fatality percentage versus the number of cases of COVID? Are we talking one person in the district that has passed away so far? And we're going to keep an entire district locked down? If you're at high risk, stay home. If you are healthy like me, you go to school, you go to work. I had COVID. I had head colds that were 10 times worse. So there's no reason why our entire high school has to be shut down just for high-risk people. Stay home, you get paid. When this is over, you come back. Now, does anybody have the statistics? The percentages of fatalities versus the percentages of COVID cases?
The person that handles that would be Gail, correct?
Are we talking about just in the district or are we
Just in
talking
this
about?
district.
Well, you can do district and you can do Suffolk County.
I don't have that information that would not be something that I would have.
Okay, and, well, we should know that, shouldn't we? Isn't that an important thing? We're gonna shut down an entire district for less than 1/10 of 1%? This is insanity. I have my own child. He's an honor society. He doesn't want to go to school anymore. Why? It's depressing. You walk in there, it's like a morgue. There's 2 kids in the class. Half the teachers don't show up. Why don't they show up? I don't know. They just don't feel like it. I don't know what the reason is. All the elementary school teachers are in classes unless they have COVID or unless they have to quarantine because they came in contact with someone. We need to do something. We can't just lie down and take this.
Thank you.
Linda, has there been any talk about the split session? I mean, I don't even know if it's doable, but I'm just throwing it out there. Has there been any conversation about trying to bring back the seniors in a split session?
Can you define what you mean by split session, Jackie? They're coming every other day. That's kind of split session.
Well, that's hybrid. I'm talking about a split session, meaning, is there a way to do this where you would bring them back, maybe opposite the other kids? Like a split session, like you used to have for kindergarten. I'm saying a lot of these kids isn't their day, and I don't even know if parents would want this. You would have to send a survey, but I'm saying, is there a way to do it where you would actually have kids who, I mean, I was told that some kids only have 4 classes. That's what I was told. I mean, I don't know if that's true or not. That's what I was told by a couple of parents, that their kids, and I think we said that last week, that kids have 4 sessions. Or even if you did like half days, but all the kids together. Do you know what I'm saying?
Lee, I can't hear you.
No, it would be, I'm saying half the day with the younger kids and then half the day with the older kids. I'm just trying to think of some ideas to work around. I understand what the parents are saying. The seniors are not getting a senior year at all. They're getting minimal. We thought last year was bad trying to figure out a graduation. This year, there's nothing.
So the biggest difference between a high school and a middle school and the elementaries is we split up the elementary classes so that they fit safely in the classrooms, socially distanced. In the high school and the middle school, we solved the 6-foot social distancing issue by having half the kids in and half the kids hybrid. If we were to bring back those classes, those kids would all be in the same classroom. So if I have a class of 24 kids that are taking AP biology, all 24 of them would be in the classroom at the same time. Whereas at hybrid, it's 12 in and 12 home. So the biggest issue is when I go from a class size of maybe 13 to 15, depending on the size of the classroom, which is what fits in the social distancing parameters. And now we say, okay, everybody come back in. If there's not enough kids in each one of those classes that stay fully virtual, we will be over the 6-foot guidelines. That's the biggest issue. And that was how we solved that problem was the hybrid model. If we say bring in all the seniors, they're all taking the same senior classes or the majority of the same senior classes. However, they all are mixed in other classrooms as well. So if I'm a senior and I'm taking chorus, then the other half of the school, the half that are 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 11th graders that are in my choral section, now I add all those seniors in, I've now put more people in than can safely socially distance.
I'm just asking, can we send a survey out that asks just the senior parents to ask about some of these ideas, or if you guys come up with some ideas of ways that we could, even if it's just for the last 2 months of the school year, to try to do something so these kids have some interaction before they graduate, even if it's coming up with some unique idea, something that's never been done before. I mean, other schools are doing it. We looked at the numbers, they are doing it. I'm not looking to put anybody in harm's way or not take safety seriously, because that is safety and health has got to come first. But I'm just saying, if there are kids in the 9th, 10th, and 11th grade who now have chosen full virtual, or are not coming to school, doesn't that now tip the scale of how many kids are there? And we don't even know how many would actually want to come back every day. So that would be another issue. I'm just saying, is there a way for you to send the survey out without it costing?
Okay. Does anyone else want to speak?
I just heard Dr. Adams say that the elementary schools are social distancing 6 feet. Yes, the desks are 6 feet apart. You are correct. However, have you sat in an elementary classroom and observed what happens in an elementary classroom? You cannot contain elementary children to stay 6 feet apart all day long in a classroom. It's impossible. It doesn't happen. I know that's a theory. I know everybody wants to believe that, but it does not happen. 99% of the time, anybody who does come down with COVID is bringing it in from the outside. The children aren't carrying it in. So, high school students, and I just don't mean seniors, are more than capable of social distancing and trying to keep themselves as safe as possible without being depressed and wanting not even to go to college, because if this is what college is going to be like, why bother?
Thank you. Is there anyone else that needs to speak? Okay, at this time then we're going to move on to,
Actually, I'd like to speak. I just want to make sure that the parents were done speaking.
Miley, can you speak under new business?
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna move on to new business discussion items. Miley, I'll let you go first.
Well, actually, the first business was the COVID vaccine letter, which I advocated for, and thank you for the board for the support on this. I am not.
Miley, we're waiting on you to sign.
Okay, yeah, I'm not saying my preference, whether or not someone should do it or not do it. My strong belief is that parental choice. I can't say that firmly enough. I believe it's, and I do like the fact that you drafted this letter, Linda. I'm sure in the future we may have to write more letters, but I think it's a great start.
So I need a motion and a second to accept and approve the COVID-19 vaccination letter.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
And just to reiterate what Mylene said, the letter is the board supports parental choice to vaccinate their own children.
Thank you.
Before we go on, where's that thing that I had to say about the principal thing? I know, we're gonna do it. Jackie, you wrote that down. There, can I have it, please? I have it. There's been a lot of social media posts. There's been a petition going around about some positions. I need to read this statement to all of you right now and to the public. At this time, the petition that has been going around, I have to tell you that there has been no contemplation at this time in regard to the administration at the high school. In the event that there is such action to be contemplated in the future, the matter will be placed on a board agenda for a vote to be conducted in public. There is nothing, I'm going to reiterate this, there is nothing contemplated by the board or on the agenda that changes anything in the administration of the high school. So I want that to be clear. So the petition that's out there means absolutely nothing because we're not changing anything. So I don't know why there is even one out there. I don't know what was said. I really don't, doesn't matter. Nothing is on the agenda to be changed at the high school. And the petition says don't change anything. So I wanted to make that clear to everyone. Fiscal climate presentation. We are now on Bridget. No, we're on new business discussions, fiscal climate, and then Board of Education topics. Okay? I know what I'm doing sometimes.
So I'm going to do it from here because we're presenting on YouTube, we're presenting on Zoom, so
Okay.
it's just a couple different sources. So last week, the governor provided New York with his executive budget proposal for 21-22. As you know, and as you've heard me say since March, probably hundreds of times, that we were looking at a potential reduction of 20% to state aid, which was going to be roughly $11 million. We, as school districts across New York State, all 600 and somewhat near 700 of us, we were waiting desperately for updates, weekly, then bi-weekly, then monthly, and they just never happened. So to date, only the budget office has delivered any update, but there's been no assurance directly from state officials if we will be seeing a reduction in 20%. The rumor, and it is only a rumor really, is that it will look like more like 5%, but we'll get into that a little bit more in here. So in the 450-page executive budget financial plan, the budget officials indicate that they plan to rely on $0 in school aid, local district funding adjustment to close the state's budget deficit, and they said previously withheld or reduced payments to districts will be refunded by March 31st. But again, school districts need assurance directly from state officials. So on the next slide, the governor has provided two different plans. Plan A and Plan B both depend on additional federal support that has not yet been enacted. So the first scenario assumes that the state gets $6 billion in support, and the second scenario assumes that the state gets $15 billion going to the state. The executive budget is different than last year and in years previous. So some changes include the overall increase in state education aid of $2.1 billion, and that's going to be possible by the Federal Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriations Act, which is CRRSA, stimulus funds. But it's really important to note, and I will reiterate every single meeting, that if the $6 billion in additional stimulus is not received, that school aid will be negatively impacted. So while we don't know if it's going to be a 5% impact, the more that the governor provides updates, the more that school districts will know. So next up is foundation aid remains flat for every school district. Foundation aid is the largest state aid for school districts, At Connectquot, of the 55 million we receive, 32 million is foundation aid, so it is significant. The use of all CRRSA Act funding in 21-22 creates a cliff for the following year. The state would need to fill a more than $1.7 billion deficit in 22-23 to keep the state aid flat. So this is really just looking forward, because even though we're in the 2021 fiscal year, you're really always a year ahead and a year behind. So at all times, you're looking in all directions. So this point brings us to the next slide, which is concerns for the future. So as it has been said since March, the status of future state aid remains unknown, but school districts across the state must continue to face unprecedented challenges and expenses due to COVID-19, and a 2% tax levy limit, which will be lower than it has been due to a stagnant state economy. Districts are limited on how they can budget, and the plan for these out years due to caps on reserved fund limits and unallocated fund balances. As you know, one-shot funding creates long-term problems. So as federal dollars are appropriated to support school districts with COVID-related additional costs, they've been used instead to backfill reductions in state spending. History shows that the last time a significant budget deficit was felt by New York State without additional assistance from the federal government, New York State will reduce state aid, as we saw with the gap elimination adjustment, where schools lost more than $8 billion in state cuts. The next slide is a breakdown of the executive budget state aid proposal for Connectquot. As you look in foundation aid, underneath that is the second largest is services aid. In the years prior, it has always been broken out. So services aid includes transportation aid, BOCES aid, high tax aid, and a bunch of other aids. They have now collapsed this and condensed it to be just one aid itself. But there is a reduction in that that's going to be backfilled with federal dollars with the CRRSA, which, if you remember back to the gap elimination adjustment, when they tried to backfill aid, that aid ran out in the 2011-2012 school year, and there was quite a deficit for school districts throughout the state. So as we get updates from the governor's office, this aid run is based on information from the November 15th database. So it's a snapshot on the November 15th date. So school districts can still go ahead into the system and update information. So the next time the governor provides an update to this, it will be based on December 15th data, and that goes on and on up until we get through about the month of May. So this information is subject to change, be it better or worse, it is subject to change. So right now with this snapshot based on November 15th information, we are looking at a total aid difference from 65 million 2021 to 63 million 21-22. That is a change of negative 1.3 million or 2.09%. A couple different adjustments and changes from years prior. They include a STAR payment, which isn't something that they did before. This isn't something that the school district receives. This is something that the state takes care of. The state has decided that they're going to make this a line item just to show where all the money for schools goes. It's also the Federal CARES Act restoration, the local district funding adjustment, and the COVID-19 supplemental stimulus. And that's just everything broken out to make it more comprehensive for readers. So it is not the 20% reduction that we were, that's been looming over our heads, but it is subject to change as more information becomes available. The next and final slide is just the budget calendar. So I have moved all of the dates up. So the next one on February 9th, usually we just go through fiscal stress, but we're going to go with any updates for projected state aid, anything that comes out of the governor's office. I will provide those updates to you. We will begin the tax levy limit calculation, the first look at it. Information is provided by all different entities, the Office of the State Comptroller, real property tax, and as two other numbers come in, we will be able to go ahead and provide the information to you. So February 9th will be the first look at that. And then going down the line from there, March And the 2 meetings in March, we will go through expenditures, hopefully get that last and final legislative state budget by March 23rd, which last year, because of COVID, was delayed a bit. So we're hoping just for a bit more normalcy. But again, as information comes in and things are updated, I will provide them to the board and to the community. Thank you.
Bridget, have we started the, line by line actuals?
Yes, so every single department, every single building gets a blank spreadsheet where they fill in each item, the amount that they're requesting, if it's a provider, if it is a supply, it is all
Were they told
listed
to do it as on actual figures or budget?
on actual figures.
Okay,
Yes,
that's my first question. Then there was some transfers today that we just approved,
yes,
about $300,000 for a COVID room.
yes.
What the heck is that?
That's
What-
because it's a contract with the nurse. I forgot which contract it is, but it's the nurses that run
What is that room?
the isolation room.
Yeah.
That's for sick, right? Yes, for sick students
$300,000 for a room. Where is this room?
at every single building, all 10 buildings.
They each have an isolation room?
Yes,
How many people use that per day? Like $300,000. What the heck are we putting in there?
Yeah.
Is it lined with gold? $300,000 is a lot of money.
Mandated as part of the reopening plan, every single building needed an isolation room. It needs to be manned by an RN or an LPN. We did need to contract out with a contractor so that we could have folks in that room. Any child or teacher who comes in and begins to experience symptoms gets put in the isolation room. It is really supposed to be like a COVID containment room. So what you're paying for is the services of the LPN or RN who's manning those rooms.
So you understand why I didn't want to do that Suffolk County Department of Health. You're talking $300,000 for a nurse. Then you want to do the Suffolk County Department of Health, and we have to hire nurses to do those vaccines or testing, whatever it is. $300,000 just for a room.
Yeah,
What the heck is going to cost us to
it's
test
not
people?
it's not a room. It's an everyday person in the isolation room in every single building in the
I
district.
understand. But if we have to do the 20% vaccinations,
We don't have to, right now, we're not worried about the
I
micro
know, but do
cluster.
you understand why I don't want to vote on that one? Because we're paying $300,000 for an isolation room, which is a mandate?
It's a mandate. This is also a mandate. If students and Mr. Mallory is here to just talk quickly
Yeah, Ms.
about,
Laura, you got 10 minutes. No, you don't. You got 10. Go ahead. No, God, Jesus Christ, that's an hour. Forget about it.
so he's going to speak about it, but one of the mandates, if we want to have our children be part of the interscholastic competition of high-risk sports, they must be tested once a week. Our coaches and our students our student athletes who are participating and playing in those contests. And that was the only way to get to even access the tests is to have that MOA from the Suffolk County Department of Health, which the board approved earlier.
Right, unless we come back with those numbers and then we're going to rescind that.
You don't
Numbers are too high.
You never need to rescind it. That's just to allow us to access the tests. If you folks decide that you don't want to pay
To
for the tests
access the
themselves,
test, we have to hire someone to administer them.
correct, but you don't have to ever use that MOA. That MOA is just approved so that if Suffolk County,
No, yeah, right, we don't have to, but it's approved. So if we decide to do it and the cost is great, we're just gonna go do it because it was already approved.
no,
So
that's
that's
not
why we're
true.
waiting for the costs.
Okay.
That's what you told us. That's why we approved
Correct.
it
Yeah,
conditionally.
correct. This is just so that we can access the
Okay.
tests. We don't ever have to access them. We
Okay.
never have to access them.
Yeah, I really, well, we should have voted that way, but we didn't, that's what my understanding was. So I just wanted to
Yes.
clarify that.
They can.
Okay. Anybody else have any more board discussion items?
I actually had a question on
I
the
have- I
power
was
side,
there.
the
No.
PowerPoint side that.
There's still board of discussion and then
I
Mr.
was
Lord.
talking to,
Mylin has a question, please. She's on the floor. Mylin's turn.
Okay, so Bridget, I was looking at your numbers. So you have Local district funding adjustment, negative 5,108,283. And then you added it back in, 501,8,283. Why was that?
So that is that's the state's doing with the federal funding. So by them saying, okay, we're going to have less in these aids, but we're going to backfill it with federal funds. So the local district funding adjustment is just backed out, the 5.1, and then it's put back in with COVID-19 supplemental stimulus funding.
So you zeroed out.
Yes, correct.
Okay, so then what does this look like? Because just getting a tone from the community, I see a lot of families that are struggling now with COVID, struggling with having to make some real decisions as far as hybrid teaching, distant learning for their students, for their children. I'm concerned about going forward, what this budget's going to look like, and the stress that it's going to have on families, because we do have a lot of families that are just surviving now, and I don't think they can afford any type of tax increases.
Right, absolutely. The revenues received just in taxes alone for Connecticut is 64% of the revenue budget. So it's significant, and I hear you loud and clear. I understand the impact to families. But just this year alone, school districts across New York State are going to see probably the lowest possible tax levy increase they could have, and that's really due to the stagnant state that we've been in since March. Will it be? It will absolutely be around 2%, but I'm waiting in. Hopefully, another week I'll get 2 more numbers that we're missing, and then I can get that information to the board. But we're looking much less than the 3.1 that we saw for 2021, and much closer to 2, and that's just because of the world.
But is this all balancing on whether or not, because I know you have said that Como presented 2 budgets, and I know that was the second budget was a little bit scary for a lot of people.
Yes. So as those 2 plans shift and take form, and we really get answers as to which one it will be, it seems obvious that one makes more sense than the other. With the 64% coming from the tax levy, that only leaves about 28% for state aid. So as that number shifts, that revenue has to come from somewhere else. So it's being sympathetic and understanding that it can't come from the tax base, it can't come from the people, but that's where we as a district have to adjust other things.
Okay, so we also spent to comply with the CDC recommendations. I'm just going to give you a round number of 4.5 million. Am I correct in that ballpark?
Yes.
So how does that impact our next budget coming forward?
So that was from the surplus from 1920 we utilized for COVID-related expenses in 2021 for additional staff and anything else that we needed to be able to reopen schools in September. But that's not funding that will continue for years going forward. But it's also difficult because we don't know what next year looks like in the school setting. So it's a day-by-day approach.
So do we have funding in there to support that if we go another year?
The same level of the 4 million?
Correct.
Oh, staffing, sorry. No, especially as Plan A versus Plan B takes shape and takes form. While it's still not confirmed by the governor's office if we're going to see a reduction of 5% through 20% in state aid, as those revenues decline, we can't lean on the taxpayer to go above what our tax levy limit would be, and that's what it would require to maintain that level of staffing. We would have to go well above the tax levy limit, which is difficult on many fronts.
Okay, so we play this out in the worst case scenario. What are we looking at as far as the maximum taxation?
So that will be a part of February 9th, because I'm still waiting on 2 numbers before I can give a real solid estimate there.
Thank you. So from what I'm gathering, there's some very stressful times ahead as far as how we're going to be funded, and I'm hoping that we don't have to make some strong decisions that'll have impact on programs, etc.
Yep, understood.
Mine's on the agenda. Go ahead, mine's on the agenda.
Go ahead, Lee, go.
Just that you were talking about the room for COVID students and having staff in each one of those rooms. And I was thinking, could that staff give the test to the children that are in sports? So that would save the parents from getting the aggravation of having to go out somewhere. And we can utilize the nurses better.
So that's a plan that Mrs. Santo, who oversees the nurses, is working on. Unfortunately, there's one nurse in each isolation room in each one of our buildings. So, and probably, and Mr. Mallory will speak more closely to this, we're looking at about 100 athletes or so that would need to be tested each week. So we're looking at putting together a plan for the board, and we'll put together multiple plans, and the board will let us know what you want to support at that point. Well, I would love for nurses in the isolation room to be bored. That means nobody's coming to school sick. That would be a wonderful thing.
All right, so for Board of Education topics, I put a few things on the agenda. The first of which, I want to send our thoughts and prayers from the board to Mrs. Berger's family from the Cherokee community. We did have somebody pass away, and we wanted to acknowledge that and send our thoughts and prayers to the family. We also had in the last month 2 legends of Connecticut that passed away. Mr. Massey, for those who knew him, and Mr. Ambrosini. Newsday pretty much nailed it when they said they were a great combination together. They were said to be in Newsday the brains behind many of Connecticut's greatest teams. So with that, I came to the board and I asked if we could do something since they left such a legacy on so many of our athletes and students. I know we have a Hall of Fame, and I know that they made the Hall of Fame, but I was thinking of maybe trying to ask the board and admin to look into doing something like a Hall of Legends for our coaches, like Mark gets at the coaches, especially starting with these 2, and even if there's others that have come before them or those who come after them, and adding to it. I think it would be a really nice honoring for them, considering when I looked up everything, and I personally knew the 2 of them as my own personal teachers, and one was my coach. Mr. Massey was a basketball coach, a football coach. Mr. Ambrosini was the football coach, along with the baseball coach that most know is the winningest coach in Suffolk County's history. They have deep roots in the community, and I really thought it would be a nice gesture. They really taught more than just athletes how to be athletes and how to win the game. Also, they taught them many life lessons from the many men and women I spoke to. I just think it would be a nice thing, and I would like to see if maybe we could look into doing something like that. I thought, to be honest with you, there was a beautiful picture that there was up at the Wakes that I wanted to try to get my hands on. It was the 2 men together at a football game, coaching side by side. I thought that would be a great picture to start the Hall of Legends.
So that would be basically more
Like what we did at the high school, like the Hall of Fame. I just thought it would be so nice to let the coaches know that they made a difference in so many kids' lives. And as time goes by, there'd be more legends put up on the wall. I mean, I know that I had many legends when I was here, and when I see their pictures up on Facebook, and God forbid something happens to them, you know, it'd be a nice gesture to honor them with their families. Let them know that they are Connecticut. They really were.
Mr. Malloy, can you do something like that? Awesome.
We got some ideas already that we're floating around. We certainly have a ceremony once the sports are back. Football, baseball, similar to what we did with Mr. Brady.
That's what I was asking. That's what I asked the board.
There's a number of ideas, coaches, and so on, pushed out.
I just know that when I read Newsday and it said that they were legends, I said they really were. So, and I just think it would be a beautiful gesture. And like I said, we did it for Rob Grable. God bless him. And I'd love to do the same thing if we can.
I think it's something that she wants to keep going now.
Hold
So
on
in
a
other
second, Mylin. Hold on, Mylin.
In other words, a legendary, in other words, so they have a wall and it's always there. Not something like they, you know, it's just something for a one-day thing where it keeps it going. And when you come into school with your kids, I played for him, he taught me so much. It goes a long way for you as a player that played for him and for their kids because they're getting coached now. And like I said, it means a lot.
Well, I also look at I look at the coaches that are here today that we have in our district and all the extra time they put out, all the dedication they put out. You know what? They're all going to be legends someday, and I think they all deserve to be up on the wall. You know, I think it's a beautiful thing that we have the Hall of Fame, but we should have those standalone, stand-out coaches that went above and beyond. That's all legends.
So Linda, do we have anything for Grable? I know there was a beautiful ceremony for him. I thought we had something inside, by the sports,
A bench,
section.
Mylin.
What?
There's a bench.
We also have the jersey, the framed jersey that was retired that we gave to the family. We have the exact replica. It's hanging right in the athletic hallway, and the bench is right under it.
Okay, perfect.
Great job.
But that was donated. That was-
We're gonna see what they can do. I just wanted to throw it out there.
So the retires jersey was.
Oh, no, I agree with the picture, but we can't, I don't think as a board, we can't have them purchase a bench.
No, and I understand that, but we can absolutely put the picture of the two
Right.
from the newspaper up. I mean, they coached together, they were they're two of the all-time
It's like the Hall of
greats.
Fame, it's the same thing.
Yeah, but I want to make them a legend. So you can make the Hall of Fame, you can also make the Hall of Legends. Not everybody who makes.
Do we need to do a consensus on that or make a motion on that?
So there's actually an organization that does the Hall of Fame. Is it the Coaches Association that's part of that?
Association. Well, we have Connect Club. We have the Connect Club, which kind of runs the whole thing right now, but we get the biggest help from us. I let it go, but I can speak to them, we can do it together.
That'd be
Come
wonderful.
up with something that-
Here is not the same thing, I just want to make sure that they get remembered. That everything that they gave to this school district, the amount of years they did, over 30 years each.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I just think it would be a beautiful honoring thing. And I appreciate anything you did, that'd be awesome. The other thing I wanted to talk about, let me just bring it up. I don't know if any of you guys saw in Newsday about mental health and about the pandemic. It actually hit. I don't know if anybody read the article or looked at it. Pandemic's toll tracking the coronavirus, Newsday. Pandemic's toll on students' mental health. Districts add counselors, educate parents, and push for more in-person days to fight isolation. So after speaking to, and it says, districts finding ways to keep students in the classrooms. So I had spoken to, through email with Lee and a few others about doing something more, even if there was something, Linda, we could come up with to maybe help the parents along. I know Lee and me had spoken about it. It's a nice thing because really if you help the parents or we put some programs out there or we try to do something, we're actually inadvertently helping the kids. Because a kid that's in a home with a stressed out parent, and I don't know, I'm super stressed, so I can imagine how people feel. It's very, very hard, this pandemic, and some people have it harder than others. And so I just think it would be a beautiful thing to do for the kids' mental health, help the parents as well, if we can.
Can that be sponsored through Connect Cares?
I think I think it needs more than that, because you're probably gonna have to pay some sort of staff, but parents need someone to talk to desperately right now. They really do, because they see their kids in stress. Every parent wants the best for their child. Right now, necessarily, we can't give them the best. And it's not healthy. It is not healthy at all. I've been watching it. I've been observing it. I've been reading about it now for the past year. We have parents come in here in tears because they're heartbroken for their children. I get it. You know, we're all moms. I get it. But you have nowhere to go. You have no one to turn to. You have no one to talk to. You have no one to say how my child feels today, or he wants to kill himself, or he wants to just run away. He wants to quit school. College is to be like that. I don't want to go to college. Who do you talk to about that? You come here for 3 minutes, you say your piece, you go home, you still have the same issues. Nothing has changed for you. You need, as a parent, a place to go or a place to talk to somebody. You need that. I know it can be done. I know there's a cost to it, but there's no cost as important as making all of us come through this horrible, horrible, horrible experience. And this is no one's fault. It's horrible for parents, horrible for kids, horrible for teachers, administration. It's horrible for everyone. But I think we have to take our time, take a deep breath, and know what the issues are. The issues are you as a parent and your child. That's the issue. And that's the issue I would like this board and administration to focus on for this year and perhaps even next. We don't know. We don't know. We don't know what's going to get worse. And I don't want to see a dead person coming out of Connecticut. I really don't. Because one dead person is someone's child or someone's mother or father. That's too much. That's too much for me anyway. So I want something for you and Dr. Adams. I've talked to you about this. I know it's a cost item, but we need that program and we need it soon. We need it yesterday.
Absolutely. Okay, is there any more
Wait,
board
no, one more.
items?
Well, no, my last
Otherwise,
thing that I had
Mr.
to say.
Mallory has to speak.
All right, one last thing.
Okay.
Yes,
This
I
is a
also have
thank you.
something
So
else,
I want to
Jackie.
just
Okay,
make sure I do. No, as I said, I wanted to thank you, Dean, to you, your tech, to Dr. Adams, and to all of those that are helping get the Chromebooks ready for distribution. Great job. I saw all of it being posted all over. Everyone seems pretty happy they're coming. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Great job.
Go ahead, Mylan.
Thank you. So I'm glad we're on the topic of Chromebooks. So there was, I put a post out, actually just shared the district's post about when the Chromebooks were coming out. And there was a few things I didn't know. So let's go to the first one. The UPK is now fully virtual. Is it a hybrid model? Dean, can you talk about the UPK program?
Yes, so because we use community-based organizations to run our UPK program, it depends on the site itself as to how they are able to administer the program with the constraints of the Department of Health guidelines. So we have some of our most of our programs are run on a hybrid model, which is an every other day model, in order to get the students in school as much as possible. But it's something that we're constantly trying to revisit to make sure that we can get our UPK kids into the sites as much as possible. So we have 2 outside sites and 1 internal site. Scope runs the site internally for us. And then we have DDI and then Early Discoveries, which are the other 2 community-based organizations.
And were they supplied any technology, for example, a Chromebook, so that these young babies can, when they're on a home, on the hybrid day where they're home, they can still get the education?
We do not provide technology for our UPK students, and neither does the community-based organization.
Okay, so going to my second question, how many Chromebooks did you get? And from what I gather, it's going to be offered at the secondary level first, and then trickle down to the elementary for those that need it?
Yeah, so we received a little over 2,900 Chromebooks. So we have prepped those. Our distribution starts this Thursday for our in-person and virtual secondary students. We did have the parents complete a survey so that we can see if there are some families who opted not to elect to take a Chromebook during this distribution, thus giving us a little bit more of an extra to be able to distribute to our elementary students. Our goal is to outfit all of our students in grades 6 through 12 with a device. And we have a plan that we're actually going to be meeting with Dr. Adams this week to look to see if we can purchase some other devices for our kindergarten, first, and possibly second graders, because some of the feedback we're receiving is that the Chromebook is not the optimal device for them. So we have some other ideas and some other funding sources that we'll be speaking to her about. And hopefully, by the next board meeting, I'll be able to make some announcements.
So we have roughly about 1,900 kids at the high school. So that leaves you with 600 extra devices, providing you gave every child a device.
So between the high school and the two middle schools, I don't have the exact number with me right now, plus our virtual students at that level. I don't know how many devices. We're in the process right now of doing the tallies from the surveys. So we're using today and tomorrow to do that. I'll have some further information for the board tomorrow I could share with them about the number of devices that we may have left over as we move forward.
Thank you, Dean. Mylin, do you have any other questions?
I'm just trying to understand this. So there was an X amount of, according to your survey, that requested the devices, and you 2,500 that came in, that you have to obviously provide for the two middle schools and the high school. So do you know at some point if you're going to have an overage that we can start helping? But I hear what you're saying too about the elementary, maybe wanting a separate device. So the 2,500, did you order more, or is that what you were able to get?
So our initial order was for 2,916 Chromebooks. That was our initial order, and that was through the Smart Schools application, which still has not been 100% approved at this point. That was our first order. We are looking to place a second order once the Smart Schools funding is formally secured. At this point, I had just said a couple minutes ago, is that we're collecting and going through the survey data that we had parents fill out. So I should have information for the board tomorrow regarding the remainder of devices that we're able to distribute to students other than our students in grades 6 through 12.
Okay, so now how many of our elementary children are going fully virtual? And I hear what you're saying, that you're talking about maybe some of the device might be more suitable for those children, but has that conversation have been started already, and have we already ordered those devices if you're thinking of going in a different direction? Because we're already in January, and from what I understand, that there's still quite a bit of children that actually do their assignments off a cell phone, and I can tell you that's got to be extremely difficult to do. How many of our children are actually doing their lessons on a cell phone?
So I don't have that number exactly, but by the end of next week, none of our secondary students should be working off a device other than a Chromebook that is issued through the Connecticut Central School District.
Okay, I'd like to know how many of our elementary children are working their assignments off a cell phone. And I understand that there's families that have 2, 3, 4 children. How do they provided, a virtual experience if they're all, say, sharing a cell phone, or if there's limited devices?
So we do have, 2 sections at the elementary grades for every grade K through 5 that are virtual. And again, those were, it was elected by the parent to remain virtual for their children with the understanding that we don't have devices at this time for them. But we have been able to provide over 1,700 devices to our community and students in grades K through 12. prior to this distribution of Chromebooks. So anytime we get a request in from a parent who has been struggling, we do our very best to try to secure a device or devices for that family and make sure that they have them.
Okay, so leading to my next question, I understand today was the PSAT. How did that go?
My understanding is the administration went smoothly. I have not heard any other reports from the high school administration.
Okay, and my last thing that I just wanted to touch back on, base on, is being that I'm of a parent who had a senior last year. It was very difficult those remaining months to see so much taken away from those children. The only upside that they had versus what these children now are facing is that they had their senior trip. They were able to participate in sports at some point. They had some things that our children now are not having the opportunity to have. So I definitely understand why at least having these remaining months to just be with their fellow seniors together, I definitely see the importance of that. Thankfully, we're going to bring some sports in, but not all kids are into sports. Sometimes those children just need to be around their peers. And for the remaining months, I think we should try to do our best effort to make sure that, one, let's do a survey to see how many of those are interested in coming back every day. And two, how do we accomplish that? And three, how do we make their remaining months in our district meaningful? And I know we can't make up for what's been happening, but at least have them go out with a feeling that we did everything we could and we went above and beyond to make the final months in Connecticut the best that we can.
Yes, and I totally agree. And, just as a follow-up to that, one of the conversations that took place immediately after our district meeting regarding the athletics restarting was with our Director of Fine and Performing Arts to see when we can start bringing back our performing groups for our music students, especially, focusing at first at the high school. So we have a plan that we're putting together that has a phase 1 and phase 2 of implementation, which would allow for, our performing groups to start taking place in school again. And we're very excited about that. And once we have that plan finalized, we'll be sharing that with the board and with the community.
So is there a potential to see concerts and maybe a play?
So part of the phase 1 is our 6 performing groups. Phase 2 would be our 6 performing groups, including some sort of play. There's been a lot of discussions about the type of performance that we would be able to provide for our community, and that process has been ongoing. So that's definite. The thing we're waiting for phase 2 for us would be the Suffolk County Department of Health to change or the CDC to change some of the guidelines with regards to what's allowed for in-person choral groups and performing groups. So, but phase 1, we're finalizing some things, and within the next couple of days, hopefully we'll have an announcement for the community.
Thank you,
So
Deanna. One last question.
I hate to be Mylon, let me just stop you for a second.
Some sports. What are we looking at?
Mylon, we're going to let Ms. Mallory talk about that.
So, I hate to let the community get their hopes up, because the executive order that stops us from gathering is still at 50. So I know we would love to have that beautiful end of the year concert that we have where we say goodbye to our seniors. Right now, every month, executive orders are only good for a month, and Governor Cuomo has re-upped the 50 guideline for in-person, inside or outside events. I know people were talking about proms. Right now, we have a 50-person maximum. So as much as I would love to say, yes, let's have this concert, because those are one of the most beautiful things that we have, having that end of the year party, the prom, the senior cruise, all that kind of good stuff, the senior banquet, I'm sorry. I would love to say, let's plan it. But right now, we're still at a 50-person maximum for any legal gathering. And so Mylon, we're really excited to be able to present the board with the plan of how to maybe get our kids back on the stage, maybe get our kids back in person playing music together. But right now, the likelihood of being able to open to have 800 people sit in that auditorium. Well, we could. That's exactly what I was going to say. One of the things that we could do is record it or live stream it or along those lines. But I don't want anyone to think that right now we can come in and have a real concert.
I thought that I saw, and I think I may have sent it to you guys. I think I sent you the picture shot of one of the schools that did a play and then sent it.
They did live stream, yes.
They live streamed it. Didn't another school just have it like in their paper or something? Oh, great. Okay. That's nice.
Okay, we're gonna let Mr. Mallory
Let
speak
me
now.
ask you, wait,
No,
one
we're
thing,
not,
let me
no,
just ask
he's
one
been
more
waiting
thing.
all night, Jackie.
One-
The
one
board
thing I
can talk
swear,
after he's
it's
done.
just Linda, one thing. It's just about these small classes. Have we done any movement on trying to get the kids in special education that are in the small classes? The kids that are really falling behind as well. I know we looked at it, I know we talked about it, but these are the kids that are really, we gotta start to get serious about if we are bringing anybody back, that we look at them as well, please.
Okay, Mr. Mallory, you're up. Thank you for your patience.
All right, thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak tonight. I know there's been a lot of talk about testing. Before we get to that, just real briefly, an update. As you know, by now, we have our 3 moderate to low-risk sports halfway through their seasons. That's bowling, boys and girls track, and swimming. And, I bring positive news. It's been fantastic. There's been a lot of talk about the students' social and emotional health, and I could just tell you, in the simplest terms, these kids are so happy to be doing something. Went to bowling today, went to swimming today. Everybody was having a great time. I don't think anybody even cares about the score right now. So we are very happy that we got this off and running. And I'd like to thank certainly the Board of Education, Dr. Adams, Central Administration, the high school administration, and really the collaborative effort of everybody involved. Everybody's had a piece of this. We just talked about live streaming. Victor's here, right? Vic's here. Victor and myself have been working. We're ready to live stream any event in the gym right now. We've been live streaming swimming, bowling, and we even have the track coaches and myself figured out how to live stream a track meet. So everybody's involved, and we appreciate the efforts. John Allen's guys have been fantastic as we change schedules and we move from different spots. They're there to make sure we're cleaning and disinfecting. And I'd be remiss if I didn't thank the coaches. The coaches have handled the protocols we've given them they've been diligent. They've been on it. I've been there. We have to stay diligent. It's important. But there was a lot that we threw out the coaches at them to enforce, and they've done a great job. So in a nutshell, it comes down to 3 things. There's a lot wasn't. If you're at practice, you're getting screened. And we have a number of ways we screen. Every coach has a thermometer, so we do a temperature check as well. So of the big 3, screening is number 1. Our PPE equipment, which we ordered way back when for athletics, it's very important with the way the government keeps coming out and throwing things at us that we anticipate. So we did anticipate very well. We have everything we need: spray canisters, hand sanitizers, masks, and thermometers. So we utilize our PPE every day in athletics. The last thing and the biggest is the actual protocols. And that's what's in your packet. There's a gigantic 50-page, what we call playbook. It's basically all the information the Department of Health and the New York Public High School Athletic Association told us, and this is how you have to run sports. And we had a Section 11 COVID task force, which I was happy to be a part of. And we developed this playbook for each coach and each sport to follow. It's very long, but the coach can go right to their sport if they want. It's very sport specific. So we have the protocols, the screening, and the PPE. And now as of Friday, Mr. Balone was nice enough, if you agree that is, to approve high-risk sports in the middle of the winter season. So there's only 4 weeks left. We're going to meet the challenge. Section 11 has met the challenge in terms of scheduling and officiating and everything else. And we have to meet the challenge of getting those kids ready. Those sports are boys and girls basketball and competitive cheer and wrestling. But what was dropped on us at 4:30 on a Friday afternoon, which I think maybe only one superintendent knew about and no athletic directors and not the executive director at Section 11, was you have to test the high-risk athletes, those 3 sports, wrestling, basketball, competitive cheer. You have to test them weekly, not before a contest. All right, so there's a little confusion on that. So we have to test them weekly. We're anticipating, and we will not know till Monday when we start, anywhere from 95 to 120 athletes that would have to get tested weekly. The good news is, and I think Dr. Adams stated it, once we sign the MOA, they will provide and distribute to us the test for free. And then we just have to pay for the health professional to implement them. From our meeting today with the other athletic directors, most districts are probably going to go on a Saturday morning. They just feel to pull the nurses and the personnel during the week out of all the different areas when it's hard enough to keep the schools running with COVID would be a tough task. So they feel a clean Saturday morning, athletes come in, we test them, and then they're ready for practice Saturday and they're good for the week. We do not have a finalized plan. Ms. Santo is working very hard with the PPS staff, and we're collaborating with myself and Dr. Adams, and we feel we can meet this challenge in the near future. Any questions?
So the other sports, so only, I just am writing it down. So testing approximately 120 athletes, high risk, basketball, wrestling, competitive cheer.
Mhm.
So any of the other sports that are going on, they don't have to test?
No, and on March 1st, football, because the fall season, I put the dates in there for your for you to reference, because all the seasons now are condensed. It's very confusing for people. Everything is on our athletic website. I also do school messengers to keep the community informed. But the dates are there. But on March 1st, when our fall sports start, football would be the higher sport, and they would have to be tested as well. And that would be approximately 100 athletes as well. So we're looking at 100 athletes every Saturday. The tests are free. We just have to implement them.
So Bridget, you're gonna get us those prices and send them to us in email as soon as possible?
And thanks for all you're doing to help at
Thank
PPS. We all know that you're working and helping them with the
Yes,
COVID. Thank you for that.
No problem. My pleasure. I have had the pleasure of assisting Ms. Santo and her team, and quite frankly, I think it's worked out well because I've learned a lot with the contact tracing, and it enables me to be even more proactive with the athletics and to know what to look for that we can't do. And I think it's been a good education to hopefully keep us from quarantining. And overall, for the winter sports so far, we're halfway through the season, and we only had to quarantine 10 athletes off of one team, one time. So when you think about how many practices, we have a lot of kids out for track. That's pretty good. So I think we're doing well so far.
So I have a question. And I know this happened to a few people where they tested negative on the short, but the long came back positive. Is that a concern or something that has been addressed?
Well, the Department of Health, for school systems specifically, once you are positive, you're positive and it's a 10-day isolation. So even if you brought a test back the next day that says you're negative, they go with the positive.
No, that's not my question.
Oh, sorry.
So I'm assuming that you're doing the quick test
Rapid.
in
Yes.
order for the rapid test for the kids to play. It happened on many occasions where someone has showed up negative on the rapid, but have done both tests. They've done the long and they've done the rapid on the same day, where the rapid came back negative and the long came back positive. Has that been a discussion or topic?
Well, if we were doing the testing, we're only going to be provided the rapid. So if we do it in-house and we do it every Saturday, we'll only be getting that test. Does that answer your question? So it would be, I don't know why somebody would go then get a PCR test, but if they did, and that came back positive and they told us, certainly they'd have to be isolated.
I think Mylene's concern is that the rapid test is a lot of false negatives. That's her
Yes,
concern.
that's exactly what I was saying. Thank you, Eileen, for clearing that up. I know a few people who did the rapid and the long at the same time. They did the both tests when they went to the, to the stat health, and where the rapid came back negative, and then 3 days later the long results came back and they were positive, all taken on the same day.
The false positives are going to be an issue, but we can only follow the rules once they're positive. And I'm sure there's going to be people that say, "What do you mean my son or daughter's positive?" They feel fine, they look fine, and all we could do, is implement and follow the guidelines. Unfortunately, that's like I said, nobody, and I mean nobody, thought that Mr. Ballone would come out and have high school athletes tested. I received 2 calls Friday night from college athletic directors saying, "Pete, I cannot believe that they're going to mandate high school athletes to test when we can barely do it in college." I said, it's going to be tough, but we can get it done, and it's only the high-risk sports. So, this is new. This was dropped on us, but I think we can meet the challenge.
So I just want to go into the wrestling piece. And my son was a wrestler, and I just want to do a shout out to Mr. Santoro. He actually sent out pictures to my son in a nice note. So great guy. My son's graduating this year. 4 years later, Mr. Santoro still thinks about his students, his graduating students.
Good.
But putting that aside, so if say in the wrestling we're going to do the COVID testing, what's to stop us from doing that when kids want to do a play? I mean, there's a lot more close contact with the wrestling versus the kids that want to do a play. So, Linda, I believe that would be your question.
So I'm actually going to take that, and that's one of the things that we discussed today as an opportunity to look at our performing groups, bringing them back as full groups, as well as talking about doing some sort of play, couple that with maybe in-person clubs. So the testing piece is something that we're looking at to see how it goes for athletics, and it's to see if it's something that we could leverage to be able to provide for other kids and bring those kids back.
So
Thank
now
you.
we're looking at potentially doubling our children that are going to be tested. So I guess that's something that's going to, one, being making sure that you have enough tests available, and 2, having enough staff available to provide this testing.
Right, and these conversations we're having, with the board first, we obviously have to have discussions with the different bargaining groups that are involved in this, and meet with them to discuss some of the plans and proposals that we have going forward.
I would also just mention that, just to be clear, this was a mandate. If you want to play, this is what you have to do. This is not a choice. This is not a district can opt out and not play sports at all. But if you want to play, this is what the Department of Health in Suffolk County says you have to do, because Governor Cuomo said it's going to be up to the county once he approved it. So unlike some of those other areas which they haven't gotten to yet, this is a mandate.
Any other questions for Mr. Mallory?
Can I just finish with one point?
Sure.
So just something really important with the guidelines, so everybody's on the same page, because every once in a while I receive an email that says, "Mr. Mallory, I saw a great picture on your Twitter or Joe Maniaci's Facebook of our student athlete running in the track meet, but I got to tell you, I'm very disappointed. Why was her mask down?" So there's a lot of confusion out there. It's very simple, and it's on page 1 here in the protocols. And I'll kind of summarize it. You have to be 6 feet apart unless the core activity doesn't allow you to be 6 feet apart. Okay? So the reason you could play soccer and get near each other, even though in a hallway or in a classroom, you have to be 6 feet, is because this is what the Department of Health and New York State Public High School Athletic Association told us. Okay? Now, once you are within 6 feet and you're playing that core activity, you are encouraged. This is the language from the state. You are encouraged to wear a mask. But if you cannot tolerate the mask, you don't have to wear it. And you don't need a note for your coach to say, I have to pull my mask down during the 1500 meter. And the reason I want to say that is because it's important, because I don't want people thinking we're not following the protocols. When the kids are stationary and they're not in the core activity, we have them 6 feet apart, masks on. Kids get into the core activity, we encourage the mask, but if you can't tolerate it, you're allowed to pull it down. I just wanted to say that just so we're all on the same page.
Larry, put your microphone on, please.
I went for a COVID test, and then I told them the situation I was in. They said you have to be in someone's space for 15 minutes in order, to catch it. If I was on one side of the house the whole time and someone had COVID sitting on a couch in a corner, which is what happened.
Right.
He said, they tested me, I was tested negative, and they said you don't have to quarantine because you weren't anywhere near him. So I think that's kind of the rule of thumb. So I understand what you're saying. If they're running, they're really not near anybody. And if they're playing soccer, they're really not near anyone that long, I don't think.
Right.
Unless they have drippings on their hand, I don't know. But that was the rule that was taught to me.
But that's it. That's a great point. With a lot of the sports, it's in and out. So correct, they get close, but they're not standing next to each other or sweating on each other for 10 minutes. That's part of it. But we leave, if something does happen, we leave the contact tracing to Ms. Santo, and I assist her. We go through everything, and then she makes the decision based on what the Department of Health says.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you for coming down tonight.
Thank you. Oh, my pleasure.
At this time, I need a motion and a second to adjourn the public meeting and go into executive session.
Motion.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
I need a motion and a second to go into executive session, in accordance with open meetings law.
They leave.
Huh?
Until the public leaves, then you can motion.
Have a good night all, get home safe.
Say why I'm going into executive session? Wait, I have to say why I'm going into executive.
Oh, you do, you're right.
I have to say why I'm going into executive in public. I need a motion and a second to go into executive session, in accordance with open meetings law, section 105F, the employment history of a particular person, confidential and exempt under open meetings law to seek legal advice from the board's attorney. Motion. All in favor? We're
Aye.
now in executive session. You're gonna wait till I go to the ladies' room.